recalibration between light and dark. Light could mean our conscious awareness, what we are aware of. Dark could be our shadow, what we are not consciously aware of, what's operating in the background of the psyche. Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Zaia here for the July Oracle Report. As of today, the day of recording, it is the summer solstice. And that is when the axis of the earth, the pole of the earth, points most directly at the sun. As we move into July, as we are really in the heart of summer, I think technically today is the first day of summer, but I'm in Texas and it's like 108 degrees. It's insanely hot. And so one thing to look at in our life right now is the balance of the elements. We have a lot of sun, we have a lot of solar energy, and that is fire, that's transformation, that's illumination, that's things coming into our awareness. This fire of change and transformation. It's also like life force, like this solar energy of life force. We need light to live. Think of yourself as a plant. You might need to photosynthesize for a bit and really soak up some vitamin D. On the other side of that, we might be a little bit depleted in the water element. I go to the springs almost every day and get in cold water just because I need to. And in my natal chart, I have quite a bit of fire. I have a lot of air. I have a very fiery personality, and so I don't do super well in extreme heat. It aggravates me. And so I need to be really aware of balancing the elements in my life, not only drinking more water, but being in more water, bringing more water energy into my life. And this is good for everybody in the summer, to see where you can bring some flow and fluidity into the heat of transformation that we've been in, and that will continue throughout the summer as far as I can see right now. So that's the first thing, is to really look at how the elements are showing up in your life. Are you grounded? Are you rooted? Are you creating stillness to plant your feet as this transformation and this heat and this fire really moves through our lives right now? It's partially because of the season. It's also partially because of just the shifts that we're in collectively. I know a lot of us have been in chaos, turmoil, things shifting and changing really quickly. A lot of earthy grounding, like fundamental foundational things in our lives have been shifting and changing. Something that worked for you before no longer works for you. I've seen people lose their homes, lots of deaths, souls leaving the planet. There's been a lot moving that would be really easy to throw us off center or to leave us feeling ungrounded. So that's where the earth element can come in and really ground us. And when we look at the earth element, it moves at a slow pace. Fire is fast, it's transformational. If you put paper in a fire, it burns. It don't take its time, it just burns. Whereas earth, notice a tree growing, how it grows over time. If you were to look at it, you don't see it changing in the moment like you would with something in fire. You see it instantaneously shift and change. Whereas with the earth, it moves at a slower pace. The earth element has the most density to it. And I think in some spiritual contexts, people think of density as bad. It's not dense, it's just a different state, like liquid, air, water, gas. Like they're just different elemental states. And earth is a solid state. So it's a denser composition. Therefore, time can be experienced differently when we look at the different elements. And that's important for us right now because a lot of people are experiencing time differently. Either we feel things speeding up really fast and we're getting kind of lost in the sauce, or there's things that we've been working on for a long time and it's like, come on, is it done yet? Hurry up. So either way, there's like this hurry up, or God, this is taking forever. And we want to be cognizant of how we are working with time and look at how time is experienced with the different elements. So again, with fire, time seems to go quickly. Something transforms fast. With water, it's more fluid. It could be still stagnant water that's just kind of not really moving at all, or it could be a tsunami that flows through. With the earth element, that tends to be slower. It tends to be more, I'm hearing methodical, but not necessarily from the mind, just in the way that things tend to unfold. Fire is chaos and it's movement, whereas earth feels a little bit more steady and reliable. We can feel the earth beneath our feet. And the air element is really, it's often related to the mind, our thoughts. So look at the air element in your own life and are you racing in thoughts? Are you spiraling in thoughts? Or are you taking a moment to pause and breathe and settle the mind so that you can feel the subtlety of the breeze? When we move really quickly, we lose touch with subtlety. We become kind of disconnected from subtle energy because subtle energy are feelings, our intuition, our energetics. Those are all subtle energies that are best perceived and most accurately perceived when we are still, when we are slow, when we are quiet. And I've talked to a lot of people, myself included, that are intuitives, that are channels, that kind of do some kind of spiritual work, whether professionally or just in their own lives. And the way that we've been connecting has been different, or it feels like it's shifting. Like I used to channel this way and now it's something else. Or I used to sit and meditate and tune into God, tune into my higher self, tune into divinity, and that's not really working anymore. Like there's been this shifting and changing about related to how we're connecting and how we're tuning in to subtle energy. So if the way that you've been tuning in is shifting or is not really working, let that be a cue. And that kind of acts like the wind of change. And allow this to be a subtle wind of change that blows you in a little bit of a different direction. It might be that you used to really tune into spirit guides. And now it's like, yes, that is very helpful. And you can tune into your higher self. You can tune into God. You can tune into source energy. And that's not to say any of this is right or wrong. It's just an example that what you've been tuning into, how you've been tuning in, what your practices have been, a lot of that is shifting. And again, we can look at that through the lens of the elements. Have your practices been really steady and stable? Or have they been movement, dancing, emotional alchemy, breath work? Has it been more fiery? So just look at that in your life and notice what wants to shift or what was working that's no longer working, that is inviting you to shift. Oh, I love that. I need that in my own life. I'm excited to look at that for myself. What else? Time. Remember that when our internal environment is moving really, really fast, we're thinking fast, we're feeling fast, we feel rushed. Our external environment is going to reflect that. When our internal environment is slow, it's steady, it's more calm, we're going to experience time in a more slow, steady, calm way as well. And so notice if you find yourself rushing through your day, or I gotta hurry up and do this in order to do this. Well, that hurry up energy might actually be stifling the precision that could come through your work with a little bit of a slower pace. It's interesting because we can really play with time in the way and experience it differently based on how we experience it internally. So if you have a belief that I'm running out of time, there's not enough time, I gotta hurry up, there's time pressure, there's a deadline, I gotta hurry, like I'm supposed to be doing this thing, but I don't feel like I'm in the right state to do it, so I better hurry up and move through this energy so I can get in the good place and do the thing, that's actually condensing the amount of time that you have, because you're experiencing it in a rushed state, so time is actually moving faster. So you feel like you're fighting against the clock, and the clock is fighting you, and you try to move faster to keep up with time, and you're just adding insult to injury and working against yourself. Whereas, if we can move at a slower pace internally, and let whatever is happening internally operate at its own pace, and trust ourselves to be able to do whatever we need to do from whatever emotional state we're in, we give ourselves a lot more grace, and we actually are so grounded in the present moment. It opens up time. It creates more time. We experience time differently. And this is important right now because it can feel very overwhelming when we're shifting, we're changing, our lives are changing, foundational things within our lives are changing. We feel called to go in a new direction, but we're still closing the doors of these old things in our life. There's a lot of movement. And when there's a lot of movement, it can be really easy to get caught up in it. And the power is in being able to be really present with what is in the moment without trying to change it. And that will give you the most space for whatever needs to shift, for whatever you need to feel. Otherwise, often we're so busy trying to move and fix and change and get to the next thing that we block ourselves from actually feeling what's there for us to feel. And so it lasts a lot longer than it needs to because we are inadvertently avoiding what's there, trying to hurry up to get to the next thing. If it were time for the next thing, it would be here in this present moment, but it's not. And it's not for a reason. So be with what is right now. There's also this recalibration that I'm sensing. One, with elements and how we work with the elements in our life, but also this recalibration between light and dark. Light could mean our conscious awareness, what we are aware of. Dark could be our shadow, what we are not consciously aware of, what's operating in the background of the psyche that we don't fully see is playing out in our lives. And there's a bit of a recalibration there because there's so much light, there's so much sun, the days are longer, we're receiving light codes, we're receiving wisdom, we're receiving upgrades and DNA activations and ideas and shifts and changes. There's a lot of light, there's a lot in our awareness, there's just a lot happening. To keep that balanced, that also means we're probably gonna have to go a little bit deeper into the darkness and into the shadows. I'm seeing it like what is that? I'm seeing it like there's a velvet bag of, what's that word? When pirates, like booty, pirates. That's a snack. But I think it's also a term, like loot. There we go. Thank you. Loot. It's like this velvet bag of like gold and diamonds and gold coins. And it's like we have this bag, and the bag is ourselves. And we've been receiving these upgrades and these downloads and these ideas and these new directions, and all this stuff has been coming in. What we don't realize is there's a hole at the bottom of the bag, and some of the coins are dropping out. But that's in the dark, that's in the unconscious, that's outside of our awareness. We don't see it. So as more is coming in, we're like, yes, more, this is great, all these things, but we don't realize that there's this huge leak happening. And so we're not actually growing our wealth in this case, in this example, or we are only to a certain extent, because there's things in the shadows that we have to look at, that we have to address. Because it's like there was a tear in the bag. And so every now and then, like, one little coin would drop out. But now that so much is coming in, there's more weight, it's heavier, it's stretching its capacity, and that little tear is now a big hole, and it's leaking out, and we don't see it. So there's things that need to come into the light of our awareness. We might need to do some shadow work. We might really need to look at some beliefs that are operating beneath the surface, that are getting in the way of fully receiving all that's coming in right now. Thank you. I know that's for me. I will journal on that. It's been on my radar. I'm like, I know there's like seeds of doubt in my mind, and I know there's like fear thoughts that are kind of looping in the background that I'm kind of aware are there, but I haven't fully taken the time to sit down and been like, all right, what do I really think about this? What do I desire? And what do I believe about it? Yeah, I want to believe it's true. I want to believe I can manifest and co-create every one of my heart and soul's desires. And I also know there's something that's not fully aligned. And so take the time to ground down, be in stillness, and look at your own mind. Really look at what's operating and what's playing out. Notice the stories that you tell yourself. And the way that I notice that in myself is saying it to a lot of people in my life. If they ask, how are you, for example, and if I've been having a rough time, I'm like, well, this is happening, or this is happening, or this is happening. I just notice myself saying it a lot. I notice that when I go to speak, it's kind of a go-to thought or a go-to story. And then I'm like, well, wait, I don't want that to be true. Why do I keep speaking this aloud? Why am I casting this spell over and over and over again? And so that's how we can start to become aware of what's there, is just notice what you end up saying a lot that you don't want to be true for you. It might be your current physical reality, but if you don't want it to be true, you've got to shift the story and you've got to speak differently, because we are speaking it into existence. So there are places that we've been perpetuating stories that just aren't working for us anymore. And so that's where bringing more light to those shadows is a bit of this recalibration to go deeper into the psyche to see what programs are running in your life. And they're showing me love. What do we need to know about love? Expectation. It's so easy for us to carry expectation about love. Any type of love. Familial love, romantic love, friend love, any type of love. Even love for your work or love for your passions. It's really easy when we deeply love someone or something, or maybe we long for love, to attach a lot of expectation to it. And so it feels like there's some expectations that we've held that we haven't been fully aware of, hasn't fully been in the light of our awareness, it's been operating in the background. So expectation is one thing that feels really relevant to look at right now. In work, in projects, in how you expect things to play out. It's like there's a fine line between conscious creation, co-creation with God, with the universe, with the divine, and surrendering to the unfolding. And that's also being recalibrated right now. And some people have been really strongly on one pole or the other. Some people have been really strongly on the side of I'm co-creating and I'm manifesting and I'm getting very clear and I'm doing my practices, I'm making love to God. That's my personal practice. It's not a practice, it's just kind of how I live my life. I make love to God all the time. It's also a way to consciously co-create. Anyways, some people might really be in that of like, I'm making the list and I'm getting detailed and I'm clarifying my vision and I'm feeling the feelings in my heart and I'm fueling it with my sexual energy and I'm making love to God and I'm praying and I'm meditating and I'm in alignment and I'm doing the things. And that's a lot of doing. And then some people are really on the other end of, I surrender to the unfolding. Whatever's meant for me is meant for me. Whatever happens, happens. And so one is really, if it's two ends of the same spectrum, one end is really action, do, control. And the other is surrender, let go, unfold. And there's a happy medium between those two. On one end, you could be overly controlling and getting in your own way, micromanaging the details, trying to do everything without just being and enjoying life. And then on the other end, it could be outsourcing your power and not actually taking control of how you want your life to be and what you want to create and experience in your life. So when it comes to big picture visions, and I mean visions you've held for a long time, that's where the time pressure and working with time differently comes in. And that's also where this recalibration of doing and being, of manifesting and surrendering comes in. Because these big visions that we've held for a long time, they're so real to us. They're so real. Because we've been with them for so long. We've seen them for so long. We've felt them for so long. In the energetic realm, in the quantum field, it's very real. And it's real to us because it's real. But in physical 3D human, it's not tangible yet. And that's where we can start to get into the overly doing, manifesting, co-creating, getting detailed, doing the things to make it happen on our own time. And this energy is a faster pace. We're operating at this faster pace. We're moving, we're doing, we're thinking, we're being, we're locating in ourselves, we're manifesting. It's this quicker pace. And we're operating at a quicker pace because we want it to happen faster. But what we're doing is actually the opposite, is we're slowing it down. Because we're not slow and steady enough to tune into the subtleties, to feel the subtleties. What if intuition is really speaking to you, but you're too frantic, busy, doing and moving at a quick pace to be aware of it? So you're trying to do, manifest, hurry up this timeline, and you're actually slowing it down. On the other end, if you're super surrendered, go with the flow, it's all in God's hands, the universe will do what the universe does, and you're not taking action, you're not taking ownership or responsibility for what you choose in your life, you're just playing the cards that are dealt and calling it fate, well, that's moving at a really slow pace. Which means things might happen fast to get your attention. Things might happen fast to say, what do you choose now? What do you choose now? What do you choose now? You gotta choose. You don't have to, but if you don't, you're just gonna play the hand you're dealt, instead of creating a hand and playing with it and making it what you want it to be. So right now, the biggest sense is, how do you want to experience your life? Yes, what do you want to co-create? What do you want to manifest? What lights you up? But also, how do you want to experience your life? Do you want to experience it in a slow, steady, present way? Or do you want to experience it in a fast, frantic, go, go, go type of way where you're missing some things, you're missing some details? It's like there's pros and cons to both. And we're just being called to look within and get clear on how we want to experience our life. Because we could want $1 million, but if we create $1 million out of chaos and doing quick chaos, we're still gonna feel that chaos when it comes in. That's not gonna change. That's the energy that was infused in that creation. Or do you want to be slow and steady and feel and be aware and be really present? Well, if you create $1 million from that place, that's what you're gonna feel when it comes in. And so, again, there's this recalibration of time, of the elements, of light and dark, of our conscious awareness and of our shadow selves. And there are some shadow aspects of self that are dying to be seen. When was it? Yesterday. I was a raging, judgmental bitch. And I knew it. I was aware of it. That was my mood. I was in a mood. And I saw this aspect of myself as this dark, feminine queen. And she was entitled. She felt outcast. She felt judged. And she judged in return. She felt very out of reach. Almost like on a pedestal that she didn't want to be on, but also perpetuating keeping herself on the pedestal. And it was this wild experience of reconciling that aspect of myself and being like, well, who is this? And what part of me is this? And what do I need here? And what is calling for my attention? And that piece of me is integrating. Like, I was finding pleasure in being judgmental. Like, it was a dark shadow piece, and it wasn't evil, but it was this shadow aspect that I was like, who are you? What are you doing here? And I didn't judge her. I didn't shame her. I enjoyed her. I was like, all right, well, if this aspect of myself is stepping forward right now, I'm gonna play with it. How bitchy can I be? How on my high horse can I be? Knowing that I was gonna go into that to honor this aspect of myself and feel her and try to invite her to integrate in more. There's wisdom. She has wisdom. Shadow aspects of ourselves, these personas, have a lot of wisdom for us. They can show us where we are holding soul wounds that haven't been healed. They can show us where there's beliefs or thoughts that have been operating in the background and playing out in our lives that we didn't see before, and it gives us an opportunity to address it and rewrite the narrative. We can listen to how that archetype, that persona, that shadow self speaks, and listen to what this shadow self has to say. Listen to how this shadow self feels. Listen to the thoughts and beliefs that are operating in this shadow self. There is gold there. And that's how we integrate that shadow self. Now, if this judgmental, bitchy, entitled queen were to step forward and then I judged her, I shamed her, and I suppressed her further, well, then I'm missing out on all the wisdom that's there. I'm missing out on the growth. I'm missing out on the healing. I'm missing out on the evolution. And I'm keeping myself fragmented. So if we can just let our bodies take the shape of judgment, of entitlement, of bitchiness, of all the things that were coming up in me yesterday, man, I was on one. And to be clear, I wasn't projecting that on people. Like, I wasn't being a bitch to people. That was in my own state. You know, I shared it with a few close friends who could be with it without shaming or judging it, you know, and we could be with it together and find humor in it and allow it to be and allow it to express. That began the integration process. And I'm still unraveling that. And again, there's just a lot of clarity that can come from that. Otherwise, they're just operating in the background and we don't know what's going on. We don't know what scripts they are writing for our life. We don't know what programs are operating in our computer system. So these shadow personas and archetypes are really powerful to look at. And with all of the sun in summer, the longer days, it's easy to not look at it. And it's a really good opportunity to let it surface. All right, what else? They're also saying, what have you not admitted to yourself? You might have a shadow aspect that you not really want to look at. The judgmental self, the entitled self, the self-abuse self, the one that's mean to you, the inner critic self, any of these aspects, these archetypes. And there's probably something that part of you thinks or believes or feels that you haven't admitted to yourself. Maybe you haven't admitted that you feel guilt about something. Maybe you haven't admitted that you really deeply desire something. Maybe you haven't admitted how you really feel about something, or admitted what you really think about something. There's something about admitting. It almost feels like a confession, like confessing to yourself what you haven't said, what you haven't felt, what you haven't acknowledged. And when we become aware of what we haven't admitted to ourselves, that is a huge opening. Admitting something to ourselves open up space where the door was closed before. For example, if there's a feeling, let's say you feel guilt, and you haven't admitted to yourself that you feel guilty. Well, that energy is in your heart and there's like a wall or a door on top of it. Well, when you admit that you feel guilt, it opens the door and it releases that energy. It allows you to feel it and process it and move it through your body so it's not there anymore. So it opens up space in your heart. Same thing with your mind. If there's a thought or belief that you haven't admitted to yourself, like the judgment, for example. If I haven't admitted to myself that, man, I have judgmental thoughts. I don't believe all of them. I don't fully subscribe to all of them, but there is a judgmental voice in my mind that's constantly running. And I'm not saying that's true. That's happening, but if there's this judgmental voice, but I haven't fully admitted to myself that there is a voice of judgment that takes up more of my mental space than I would like. It's taking up real estate that I don't want it to take. If I don't admit that to myself, then I'm not doing anything to change it. But once I admit, I can be judgmental. There's a voice in my head that casts judgment. Well, now that I admit that to myself, I can look at it from a place of neutrality and then see what that is. If I don't want that to take up real estate in my mind, well, now I've admitted to myself it's there, so it can create the space in my mind for me to plant new seeds. And so as we look at what has bloomed through spring, we look at what has come to fruition in our lives. If we look around at what has come to fruition in our lives, and there's something that we're not satisfied with, there's something that we're not happy with, whether it's the circumstances are great, but I don't feel good about it. I don't feel great. Or I really deeply yearn for this thing or this experience or this feeling, and it's not here, and I'm just unfulfilled and I'm unsatisfied. Admitting that to ourselves can help to shift the direction of the energy. Where there may have been a block before because there's something we haven't admitted, well, now we're looking at it and we're admitting it, and it opens up that space. So I'm hearing secrets. There's like internal secrets that we've kept from ourselves, and like this little secret door, hidden door that like holds all of your secrets. And it might be a secret desire or a secret kink or a secret thought. Let yourself in on your own secrets. You don't have to share your secrets with the world, but share them with yourself. That is so interesting. It looks like a treasure box of secrets. And there's just something really significant about secrets that you've kept from yourself. And there's power there. There's so much power there. I've been talking a lot about soul power. I spent like, oh my gosh, like 8 months with various team members and all the things, creating a quiz and a live event and all the things that I'm actually in the process of launching right now. It's the Find Your Hidden Soul Power quiz. And let me tell you, this was a challenge to bring through, because when somebody comes to me asking for guidance or oracular support for me to kind of tune in and vision or feel or sense or shift energy or activate something, whatever that is, I'm working outside of linear time and space. And this quiz required me to basically reverse engineer oracular messages and put them into a linear order such that the answers that you choose for the quiz give you an accurate reading, an accurate message. So that was a project in and of itself. It took a very long time, and I'm thrilled with it because it's accurate. And what it does is it helps you uncover the dormant power within yourself. We all have dormant power. Welcome to being human. We're divine beings in a human body. Of course we have dormant power. Are we all fully telepathic? Are we all fully levitating? Are we all fully tuning in all the different ways? No. So we have dormant power. This is not special for certain people. We're all wired this way, but not all of it is online. And one big reason that some of our soul power is dormant is because it's locked up under wounding. It's locked up under trauma. And a lot of this soul power is locked up under some of our deepest soul wounds. And it's beckoning for us right now. We have symptoms that are pointing to dormant soul power. That might be feeling unfulfilled. That might be feeling stagnant. That might be feeling like, man, I kind of did what I set out to do, but now what? Like, I should feel like I'm in the promised land, and this doesn't feel like the promised land. Like, what's happening? Or you just feel like there's more, but you don't know what it is. I've felt like that. I have felt like, I've been fine-tuning and harnessing my intuitive gifts for several years now, and I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface. I feel like there are intuitive abilities, certain spiritual gifts, certain just like soul gifts, things that I'm naturally good at that aren't fully online within me. I can feel it. It's like I'll go to do something and I'm like, there's a tool in my tool belt, but the tool isn't here. It's kind of like that. Like, oh, I know there's a slot here for a tool. I see the slot, but not the tool. Where's the tool? It's like, that something belongs there, but you don't know where it is. You can't grasp it. That's this dormant soul power. And so we're all really being called to bring this online right now. Mainly because, one, we're evolving at a really quick pace. Two, this tool, this aspect, this gift, this ability, this soul power is needed for the next leg of our journey, for the next leg of the evolution of consciousness that we're in, for the next leg of our soul mission. And so there's a lot of symptoms that can come up around dormant soul power, because the soul power is sending symptoms to get our attention. So we pay attention and we locate it and we move through what's on top of it so we can access it and turn it on. So I created the Find Your Hidden Soul Power quiz to help you locate the dormant soul power, give you some intuitive insight on what it is, why it's there, what's on top of it, how it could be showing up, and what you can do to help start to bring it online. And I haven't done it yet, but as of when this posts, I will have just done the live event, Activate Your Soul Power. Because just because we locate it doesn't mean it automatically turns on. We've got to activate it. And so I did a 2-day live event. The first day is context. What is soul power? Why is it important? What are the symptoms? How do we locate it in the body? How does it relate to the nervous system? How can we work with our nervous system to be with that soul power and help to bring it online? How can we do this in real time throughout our lives? Because it's not a one and done thing. We're going to be activating new parts of ourselves for the rest of our lives if we so choose. And if we do not so choose, we might be slapped around because the world is shifting and we need to be in our power. So this isn't a one-time thing. This is an evolutionary process for the rest of our lives. And so I want to give context for soul power, why it's dormant, how to locate it, and how to shift it in the moment. And then the second day of the live event is the DNA activation. It is a guided activation to locate the dormant power in your body and turn it on in your DNA, in your mind, in your energy field, in your body, and regulate your nervous system so that it's in a stable place as it turns on. So this is something you can use for the rest of your life. I highly recommend you catch the replay. The link is below. If you have any questions, let me know. Last but not least, announcement. The way to really keep this going is to have a daily practice. To let your growth and evolution and spiritual journey be a part of your everyday life. It's a lifestyle. It's not I study this and then I know it. It's I practice this and then I be it. Evolution is not a function of just the mind, of learning and regurgitating and applying information. It's deep embodied wisdom. And the way that we deeply embody our own unique wisdom, our own unique soul power, wisdom, gifts, abilities, our purpose, all of that, is to let it be an integrated part of daily life. And so that's where it moves beyond just having a daily practice. It becomes, okay, I feel like I'm in chaos right now. How can I use this chaos to my benefit and ground in the center of the storm and see, sense, and feel what's shifting in my life so I can navigate it in a grounded, steady way instead of getting swept up in the storm and being lost in chaos. That's a moment by moment thing. So that's one example. And what I have to offer you is the Oracle Collective membership. This is, God, what I wish I had 10 years ago. I wish I had this over the last 10 years. I use it myself today. I was in chaos, things were coming up. I went and did one of the grounding integration journeys in the Oracle Collective membership. There are healings, journeys, activations, daily practices, embodiment practices, rituals. I listen to the miracle meditation every day. I have been recently because I've been in a lot of chaos and I've felt ungrounded and I've noticed all these limiting beliefs. So I'm like, no, I'm going to reprogram my subconscious mind to be a magnet for miracles. And I'm listening to the miracle meditation daily. We've done one on timelines, on soul power, on money, mania, and the media. So this is the go-to place for divine guidance on demand. There's an app, there's a community, you can do it in the bath, you can listen to a journey on a walk. This has been such a labor of love. And I really did create it for my past self, and my present self uses it regularly. So if that calls to you, I would love to have you in the Oracle Collective membership. It is a way to get your own divine guidance, your own answers for the self-led person who's on a growth and evolution journey, but you don't want to hold yourself all the time. You don't want to guide yourself all the time. So you can go in and listen and be guided to get your own answers, receive your own wisdom, move through your own healing, activate whatever is ready to be activated within you. It is robust and well-rounded. So I would love to have you in the membership if you want to join us. And I believe that's it. I would love to hear your comments if this landed for you. Quote me if something really jumped out that resonated with you. If you think a friend would find value in this, please share it. I read all of your comments. I love when y'all share this and it helps more people see it. So I really appreciate that. Have a beautiful summer. It'll be late by the time you get this, but happy summer solstice. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.